Hello, what we're going to be going through in this video is the iTunes Search Part 3 lab. So the objective of the lab is to integrate our iTunes Search Network requests into an actual app that we completed in 5.5. So we're going to create an app that allows the user to search for different media types and view the results in a table view. And then in addition, we're going to go ahead to improve the performance of the table view. What we're going to do is we're going to learn how to update the size of the URL cache to temporarily save images. So there is an iTunes search project that has already been created for you in the student folder, so I've downloaded it onto my desktop. So let me just go ahead and open that up. And if we go ahead and look at it, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and open up the view controller here. First open up my main storyboard and we'll take a quick look at it. So as you can see, we have an initial view controller with a table view for listing our search results. We have a search bar that we can go in and type in what we want to search for. And then we have a segmented control for narrowing the search results to a specific medium. So that is our main storyboard. If we look at our controller app, it has placeholder properties, and then the other thing it's done is it's and functions that handle the search bar, segmented control, and displaying a list of items in the table view. So you can go on and scroll through this. We have the four query options that we can go ahead and select. We'll be adding items to our fetch matching items method and updating the config method. And then it has the filter options updated to fetch the matching items, and a couple of our table view methods, functions that we've seen in previous examples. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and copy some of the code from our 5.5 playground into this application. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create a store item structure. So we'll go ahead and create that. And then I need to go ahead, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and copy both the structure items and structure item code. So let me just go ahead and make sure I have that selected, and I'll go into my structure. So now I have both structures copied into there. I'm just going to Command X, move that down to the bottom after my main structure. So now we have our store items and our store item structures available. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create another new file, and this is going to hold our extension that we create, URL search extension. So I'll just go ahead, click on next, and what we're going to call it is URL plus helpers. Create that, and what we're going to copy in is just our extension for our URL, so we can go ahead and use that in our app. So we've copied that in, and then the final thing we need to do is we're going to create a file called store item controller, where we're going to define a new store item controller and copy our fetch items function. So it'll be our store item controller. Go ahead and create that. It'll be a new class. Store item controller. And I'll go into my playground and select the fetch items method and copy that in. So there we go. So we have our store item controller. We have all the code we need. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to update the view controller to use our store item controller to fetch our items based on the media type selected in the segmented control and the query in the search bar. Once the items are returned, we'll load the table view to display the results. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead, click on our controller class, and if you scroll down to the bottom, we have a UI search bar delegate and extension, and what there is there's a function that's been included, a search bar search button clicked. So once the button is clicked, we're going to call our fetch matching items method, and so we're going to implement the rest of that fetch items function to set up a query dictionary and to make the network request. So the first thing we need to do is go to the top, and we're going to create a constant or property. It's going to be let item controller equal store item controller. So I'll create an instance of our item controller, and then we're going to update our array. Currently we're just, the items is a string instead of an array of strings. What we want is we want an array of store items that we're going to go ahead and store. And then when I updated that, instead of adding item to our text label, we're going to add item dot name to the text label. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is we need to go in our search term method, and we need to go ahead is empty, and we're going to set up a query dictionary setting the terms and media keys to their respective values. So let me just go ahead and remove that comment. So we're going to let query equal, and then what we're going to add in there is our term. For our search term, we have a lang for English US, and then we need our media. For our media type. So let me see here, what do I have messed up? Term, our search term, lang, oh, I'm missing my double quote, there we go, and the media type. So that'll be our query. The next thing we're going to do is we need to call our fetch items method. So I'll go ahead and specify our item controller fetch items, and it'll be matching query and it'll be our items. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to if let items equal items. So if we do return some items, we're going to set self items equal to those returned items. We'll go ahead and reload our table view. And then we need to go ahead and add an else. Else we'll go ahead and print unable to load data. Okay, so it looks like we have the information in our property, so, or within our function. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and call and see if anything gets loaded into our table at all. So if we go ahead and bring this up, go ahead and type in something and hit the enter or hit movies, what you see is that we have not run our reload method. It must be used from the main thread only. So what we need to do is we need to go in and update our method so that we're actually running from the main queue and background queue. So I think what I'm going to do is we will go ahead and update that in part 2 and continue on with the rest of the exercise. So we will get back with you shortly with part 2.